Hey guys, welcome back. And the second game of Super Rugby AU in week 2 is Brumbies versus the Waratahs. It's a big game because the Brumbies, let's face it, they had a great game last week. Waratahs not so good. So Waratahs, they will want to improve on what they did last week. So it's being played at GIO Stadium in Canberra. History-wise, massively in the favour of the Brumbies. Let's look at the two squads. The Brumbies, they didn't change much. Why would they? They had a good game last week. Waratahs, not a good game last week, so changed quite a few, most of them enforced changes. Looking up front, it is a good front row with two Wallabies in Angus Bell and Harry Johnson-Holmes. At the props for the Waratahs, Horton is at number 2. He is also a guy to look out for. He had a brilliant season last year. Last week, not so good, but he is up against the new number 2 in the Brumbies. It's McInerney, joining Alan Alalatoa and Slipper. So two guys with two Wallaby props next to them. I can't wait to see what Connell does for the Brumbies. I like how he plays. He's more of an old school type of hooker, very powerful runner with the ball, does his set pieces well, great at the back of a maul as well. And with the Brumbies, you always need a hooker that's good at the mauls because that's a guy that scores most of your tries for you in the season. Then at number 4, it is Darcy Swain and Neville. The Brumbies, they were really dominant at the line-out time last week against the Western Force. Kidd and Witten for the Waratahs are up against them. Then we get into the Waratahs' loose forward. Swinton is back from his red card suspension that he got against the All Blacks last year while playing for the Wallabies. That's the enforcer for the Waratahs. They really missed him last week. And he's up against Valetini. Jarome Brown and Pete Samu, two very similar players. Two players that I struggle to see the difference of when I look from far away, because both of them have kind of the same hairstyle going, kind of the same size, and kind of the same playing style as well. So those two guys, really similar playing styles, really need to look out for them. They are two dominant runners of the ball. Tizano for the Waratahs, probably the only guy that really stood out for the Waratahs last week, and a guy to look out for. Still very young, really filled the boots of Hooper. You can see why they picked him there. Good to actually have a guy that can fill the boots of a brilliant legend like that. He made most of the tackles for the Waratahs. I think he made 25 tackles for them last week. Jack Dempsey at number 8. Jack Grant at number 9 for the Waratahs. He is in for Gordon, who is injured. Gordon actually being their captain this season. Unfortunately sustained an injury last week. So Jack Grant, he didn't look too out of place last week after making his debut. Brilliant game from him. He brought some speed. Don't know what he's gonna do when he does actually start the game up against a guy like Nick White, who is a veteran of the game. Noah Lolosio versus Will Harrison. That's always a big matchup for me because it's the two youngsters gunning for Wallaby selection. Yes, Noah Lolosio kind of beat Will Harrison last year to that selection, but Will Harrison is a brilliant player, very consistent when it comes off of the tee. In the number 12 position, you have Irai Simone versus Marua, who gets a bit of a start. Marua in for Walton, who is injured as well. Marua is back from his injury as well. So the Waratahs are already starting their season with a bunch of injuries. Ikitau at number 13. Parisi is out for the Waratahs at number 13 because of a suspension due to a red card he sustained in his first game back in rugby union. That means number 14, Alex Newsom, moves back to number 13, captaining the side this week. Number 14, Muriad versus Nawakanita Wase. I love that player. He's a guy that can just score impressive tries, gets up in the air, grabs the ball. Great player to have in your squad. Surprising last week to have him on the bench. Mac Hansen and James Ram is on the other wing for the two sides. Both of them can also do their jobs. At number 15's, two guys that also gun for the same position at Wallabies is Jack Maddox versus Tom Banks. So that's always a big matchup in a game like this. Who is going to have the upper hand? Who is going to grab the eye of Rennie, the Wallabies coach? Getting onto the two benches, both of them not too experienced. Lenorgan comes in at number 16. Then you have Harry Lloyd and Ross. Very young front row for the Brumbies there. The Waratahs, same thing with their front row replacements as well. Tall Timber Frost is on the bench for the Brumbies, and they also have their vice captain Cusack to bring some action to the game when he comes on. Further than that, it's youngsters for the Brumbies. For the Waratahs, most of the team is youngsters on the bench. Like I said, if I have to quickly look at that bench, none of those names really stand out, and that's a thing that I think is going to punish the Waratahs at the end of the day against a team like the Brumbies, not having a bench that can really finish the game off. So guys, my prediction for the game, it's going to be a tough day at the office again for the Waratahs. Brumbies to win it by 20 points. Let me know your prediction down in the comments below. Also join the SuperBru pools down in the description. Check out these videos next to me, hit the subscribe button, and then I'll see you for the next one. Cheers.